Big round of applause.
Thank you. You're looking good. It's great to be out in the world again after COVID. It's my first time for a couple of years. I'm here to speak a bit about Falck and the journey at Falck that has been ongoing for a couple of years. Do I actually have any colleagues from Falck with me today? No? I'm all alone? Cool. Yes. I'm Henning Kjær. I'm a nerd. I talk to my car. It has Google Assistant. That was a joke. I have a background as a developer and been coding for many years. I've worked as a tech lead, manager of teams. Currently I work at Falck as an agile coach and people lead. I love the intersection of technology and people, so that's where you will find me. I'll talk a bit about Falck just to set the scene and context of the transformation that Falck has been in over the last years. And then I will highlight a bit of our DevOps journey so far, and of course tell a bit about Falck.dk, our global web setup. It's much about culture and agility, so maybe not so much about tech, but I hope we have some time for questions maybe also. And I have a video. And mine is with fire.
Why do we do what we do? Why do we train so hard? Why do we repeat? Because when the moment comes and someone needs you, every second counts. At Falck, we believe life is precious. And it's that belief that drives us to deliver efficient emergency response and healthcare. We believe in training, expertise, and personal dedication. It is the difference that makes us a little faster, more reliable, and ultimately more caring. Every day, every hour, all over the world, people rely on us to be there when something happens. That's a big responsibility, but it's also what motivates and drives us. And ultimately, it's our promise that you can always trust us to be there when you need us.
Yes. And I always wanted to be on stage with the fire in the background, so now that was it. Yes, Falck, market leader in emergency response and healthcare. We save lives. Awesome company, 30,000 employees worldwide, bigger than Lego. On that number, we are though only in 30 countries, but we do a lot of things. I think many of us have probably have the pleasure of a cotton stick in our nose during the last year, and this one is from actually from Glasgow Fire Services. So we put our fires in planes. We have a movie star, our ambulance. I actually saw an ambulance out at the parking lot. I hope that is not for us, but yeah. this is some of the things we do. I can recommend, if you're into action, the movie Ambulance. We have a history older than Lego, from 1906. So founded by Sophus Falck, and I think we have been through tons of acquisitions and had a turnaround on that around 2017. So and from that point, I think that it was then going in the right direction. Around 2018, we established Global IT in Falck. That was before my time. Before that, it was project-based, done by vendors primarily, and a lot of different siloed IT in different business units. We didn't have a global setup, so that is what we have now. 2019, maybe more interesting, 2018, on where we started the DevOps journey. Actually, before the agile transformation, we set out cornerstones in all of our teams, DevOps engineers in all teams. So that was the initial start. And then, of course, on top of that, started the agile transformation. So quite new, in fact. Many companies have done this, so not unique. The busy slide. And the transformation is in fact started in 2019 on the global IT, collecting all local IT services in one unit. Of course, as when you change a lot, it's always about making sure that the business runs as usual. Stability, security, reliability, and most important for Falck, the reputation. If you call for an ambulance and it's not there, then that's a big problem. So emergency response and helping people, that it doesn't have any breaks. So that's always the case. We have on the DevOps journey, we have had a lot of changes and introduced a lot of systems, and I think the picture over here probably is the best reflect how that looks within the organization. There was a lot of course, changes in many directions, but on the infrastructure level, moving from on-premise hosting centers to cloud, and going all the way to now infrastructure as code, and having that in our Asia setup. So also on the repositories, I think it was a scattered mess before we introduced global IT. So moving ahead on that journey also, and also importantly around pull request strategies and branching strategies in general. I think that that has greatly improved the quality in Falck, and also on all the systems we have, and especially, of course, the last part on the test automation. I think that that is something new to Falck, which of course is quite obvious to the rest of us, but a new journey in Falck. And I think that this is making a big difference. On the team level, we went from having vendors brought in, external teams brought into the company to do stuff, then they left again, to now we have agile teams, scrum teams set up. We have around 14 stream-aligned teams, so covering 4 business units. And one thing that I will get a bit back to, our community of practices, that is heavily making a difference in Falck. On the process side, similar journey. And a warning here, Falck colors are red, Falck red. So if you close your eyes and center on the middle for 10 seconds and then open it again, you will see the people move around. I'm not kidding. No. The setup in Falck on the feature teams, the streamlined teams, is fairly simple. It's simplicity. It's starting from scratch, but with a DevOps engineer as a center of this journey. So a cross-functional team, full responsibility end-to-end for the systems within the team. That includes everything. We have a vendor on infrastructure hardware, of course, but our DevOps engineers greatly bridges that. A thing that we do, and especially for our DevOps engineers, I think all people or all companies do this, but we have community of practices, and for our community of practice in the DevOps setup, we actually have our DevOps engineers. They meet on a daily basis, share best practices, because we started basically from scratch, whiteboard. Then it was quite important for these people to develop the best practices as we went along. So and we did that based on Microsoft Azure Services and Azure DevOps. And I think the shared community of practice are responsible for both. So there's no platform team, they have a shared responsibility for some of that. And that actually works. They are extremely good. And that is making a big difference for us. I like curves. So I brought you a change curve, and just to try to explain the next couple of changes in context in this big transformation. The change curve, of course, start by somebody needing the change or doing some information about it. So might be exciting at the beginning. Then you figure out what you're moving away from, and everything that work will go away. And then you are into the mess of deep frustration and trying to figure out how do we ever get out of this again. And then start to implement stuff, and then hopefully it's a rocket ride from there. One thing that we actually did, which might be scaring in this form, we actually ditched Jira and Jenkins. Personally, I'm a fan of both Jira and Jenkins. Every company I've been worked in has been Jira. But because of the scattered landscape and everything that teams were doing, we actually decided to all in on Azure DevOps, which replaced Jira. Much simpler setup, but also a basic start for everybody. So starting a whiteboard from scratch, and of course the first initial building blocks, that was on Azure DevOps. So that was brought in as the one and only task management tool, and also pipelines and everything was built around that, and moving away from so basically simplicity here. Of course, it's probably unique in this situation that we have a scattered landscape out there in all teams, and then moving to a global setup, trying to simplify that. but this is actually what we did. Of course, our DevOps engineers then started to look a bit on the Azure stack and also what else we could utilize from this stack, and currently working a lot with Terraform and Docker and making everything ready to go to Azure App Services, and all in the meanwhile orchestrating everything on the Azure DevOps platform. One thing that we also have utilized a lot is application insights, which we basically use out of the box. So it has proven to be a quite powerful new way of working in Falck. So that was some of the tech. On the people side, of course, we saw a lot of people losing purpose. I'm the guy copying the files to production. What am I going to do now when everything is automated? But we are now at a state where every IT guy in Falck see this as a big benefit, and actually a time where we can spend our time on using and even building bigger and better things. So now we are in a situation where we own in the teams applications and infrastructure, everything. And since it's also the team that will be hit by any calls and emergencies and stuff like that, then of course it's quite important for the team that everything is working, and they intensively work to make the boring stuff go away. One thing that actually happened when I started in Falck was we had a big celebration. It was called 6 months of no major incidents. I thought that it was silly to celebrate something like that. But actually going from a scattered landscape like we had in Falck on the IT side to this new way of working actually make quite an impact on that one. Now teams are fully responsible end-to-end for the systems that they run. Yes. So the next thing in Falck, cloud only. Not only cloud first, but actually cloud only. Migrating everything to Azure. Yeah, and moving on this journey. You might call it a vendor login, but yeah, this is actually quite a strategy for Falck to utilize Azure to the fullest. So I think that this is how we are doing. So that was a bit of a context on the whole thing. Now a bit about Falck.dk, or I guess the global platforms on website we have. Here we use Optimizely CMS. And I think the history of Falck, of course, the website has been living for a long time. But in 2016, it got a major makeover, moved to Optimizely, but by a external vendor consultancy. And I guess during a year after, another consultancy, and they did their job. It was on track, on schedule, but the code base they left, you could definitely see when we opened this code base up a year ago, it was a scattered landscape. And actually, if you are familiar with Conway's law, then this was a very interesting study in different business units and different IT stakeholders who actually added stuff to this website. There was nothing that hang together and multiple logins, and I think it was a mess. We're still cleaning up a year after, but as you see from my curve, then the technical depth, of course, is being strongly reduced, and we are moving away from on-premise servers. We actually have Windows servers running out of support on that one, so that's yeah. But even the more, then of course a perfect opportunity to jump into the Azure stack. Part of this project, of course, building and getting the hang of the code base on Falck.dk. We were quite busy doing that, up to a major launch of Direct Healthcare last year. But we needed to have this lead generator done and engage with the business partner Ambition. Do we have anyone from Ambition here today? No? All right. They are using Google Cloud. So that doesn't fit well with our strategy of Azure. And we don't have a data processing agreement on Google Cloud. So that was a no-go. In a big corporation like ours, security and governance around stuff like that, we are using healthcare data, personal data. People should trust us. So we went the middle way of Ambition, creating the application in React, and hosting it on our setup, a Azure DevOps project. And they were doing the development. We took care of the infrastructure. And this actually was quite a good joint venture and a good example of us moving fast. Within few days, we had full infrastructure. With a few clicks, we have scalability. So application was able to scale out and in, just based on the Azure stack. So quite efficient, and the business was over the top, eagerly excited with us, because we actually managed to do this quite fast, and Ambition had a place to put the source code, and we took care of all the pipelines. So actually this also gave the business opportunity to promote stuff to production, which was the first in Falck. So we have business people promoting stuff to production on this one, which was, they are still talking about that. So yeah. Yes, so, and this is a picture from the celebration, but when we launched the big first launch last year, and of course that was 6 months of development, turning the Falck.dk code base into something we could release on demand. So big launch, and now we have 2 teams built around our global website who take care of this. They work with full test automation, and also based on application insight, we actually have a quite well overview of how this applications perform. So quite good, yeah, standard, I would say. And if I should give you something from here, our experience, of course, is you can actually go far on a simple setup like Azure. It does not cover 100% of what you actually need, but 80% takes you far. Any questions? There was a question.
Yep.
So with teams having end-to-end responsibility, how do they do 24/7 operations as team members?
Our strategy is best effort. So actually, some of course, the stuff we do on the website does not need high availability. Other things do, but typically our DevOps engineers go so far to automate their way out of restarting and adding automation to whatever. So we actually don't see very much work outside of normal business hours. And of course, we have some system with SLA towards an outside where we have special attention and eye, and of course some teams do have agreements within the team members on how to solve this, but automation is the key here.
Thank you for the good questions. Do we have another question? We just have time for one more. Yeah, I'll just bring the mic.
In the start of the presentation, you talked about you have put one DevOps person into the old teams, and in the last slide you said that all teams are cross-functional teams. Is that the same? What are the contents of the cross-functional teams? What are the functions? In a typical team we have, besides our DevOps engineer, we have in the two teams I have, we have a UX designer, we have a QA automation engineer on the test automation side, and we have full stack developers, and in one of the teams we have a front-end developer, because that's heavy front-end web-based development we do in that team. But of course, depending on team, but we have all the competencies needed within the team to do that, and they heavily overlap or try to do that at least. So they move competences around and share knowledge, and also spend time on actually doing stuff outside of their comfort zone to help the team. So that's how we do it. Short bonus info for me: we have an Azure DevOps plugin. Our DevOps engineers have been busy, so if you are an Azure and like the DORA metrics, then we have one here. So feel free to use that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.